His name was Angel Jackson. Was he an angel? No. In fact, he just tried to borrow a BMW at gunpoint. But his little misdeed was not going as planned. His victim fought back, and the two men engaged in an old-fashioned Donnybrook. But like so many of our brothers and sisters, his crime was he had the wrong color skin. He was merely an unarmed man of color, a small-time hoodlum fleeing in the night.
Quit running! Get him up! I haven't done anything!
With nowhere to turn, he knew what he had done was wrong and was ready to surrender to the authority figures who pursued him. A minor scuffle ensued.
Go, man!
But the police overreacted, as they have time and time again. Those two white police officers who chased Angel Jackson that night made him pay with his life.
Don't kill me!
We all know the injustice that followed. It's not the first time an all-white jury has acquitted two of their own, despite their obvious guilt. So what do? Accept this result? Let these so-called peace officers continue to terrorize our community? No. Never.
Sad. Never.
Not as long as I'm the watchdog of your truth, the guardian of your civil rights.
And we're here to protect this guy? What's wrong with this picture?
That's why, as so many times in the past, I have filed a wrongful death suit against those two officers in question. A civil action. Like in the case of the beating of Ted Hodges, who is lucky enough that the Lord saved his life so he could be here on this glorious day. And I stand here now, my friends, to tell you we are about to win another victory. As I've said before, I have a secret witness, an individual brave enough to come forward and tell what he saw that night. A man who will stand up and bear witness to the truth on this historic civil trial. We will not settle this case with blood money from the Santa Monica Police Department, as has been reported in the newspaper. We will seek a verdict so that the soul of an angel can rest in peace.
Easy, Joe. We gotta do that. You know what I'm saying?
As long
What up,
as
Slim Man? What you trying to start something?
Let's keep it calm, sir.
What do you mean keep it calm? All y'all standing around here just looking for a reason to bust some heads. You want me calm?
Look, we don't want any trouble.
Man, we cool, man.
We shall not be wrong. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We need to talk.
$3.50 an hour. You can't afford me, Hodges?
You weren't saying that when you were stealing me blind, Jerry.
Deborah, I'll see you in court on Monday. Make sure we have all the depositions with us, okay?
Yes, sir.
Watch your mouth. I took your case when nobody else would, and I won it for you.
You also took 70% of the fee.
We agreed on my fee in advance.
That's not a fee. That's highway robbery. I just as soon had Don King representing me.
Don King is a hell of a promoter, but not much of a lawyer. So, if you're gonna sue me, I wouldn't use him. The case of the beating of Ted Hodges, who is lucky enough that the Lord saved his life so he could be here on this glorious day. And I stand here now.
Good. Tears like that are deserving of Academy Award.
Another victory. As I said before, it's about time, baby. Tell what you saw that night. A man willing to stand up at this historic civil trial.
Some try to talk it down. Why everyone bags on my town? Sand and sea, it works for me. Take a look around, it's just another day in LA.
radio call said it was a robbery.
To keep the press away.
Homicide?
The kind race riots are made of. It's Jerry Collier.
I want our people put on alert. And I want the logs of every officer Collier ever sued.
Well, that's half the department.
You know, maybe if Calloway weren't on vacation, your team would have dropped the ball on security, Sergeant.
Look, we were only covering the press conference. Collier specifically turned down our request to provide additional protection.
Which somebody apparently knew. And took advantage of.
You think a police officer did this?
Well, I think given our popularity in the black community, it's going to be perceived that way, whether it's true or not.
All the more reason to find the shooter and fast.
You know, given the circumstances and the sensitivity of the situation, I'm inclined not to want to assign this to one of our homicide detectives. Especially since Collier's made them the target of most of his legal harassment.
Maybe if you tap someone from a low-profile unit, say Pacific Blue.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Look, Chief, I don't
I've
think...
reviewed your file, McNamara. You have a very strong background.
But not in homicide. Besides, don't you think an officer of color would be a better choice?
Oh, be accused of using the race card to our advantage? I think that you are exactly the right person for this job. Unless, of course, you don't think you can handle the investigation.
I can handle it, sir.
Good.
But can you handle it if I find out it was a cop who did this?
God, no. My name's Deborah Williams. I'm second in command at Mr. Collier's law firm. Please tell me that
I'm afraid so.
How?
Gunshot wound to the chest.
I want to see the officer in charge.
Well, that would be me. I'm Sergeant McNamara. Mind telling me what you're doing here?
Beg your pardon?
Seems this wasn't Mr. Collier's primary residence, and judging from the looks of the place, private, secluded, champagne on ice.
I don't like what you're implying.
Then what are you doing here, Miss Williams?
Business.
Then maybe we should do this business downtown.
Jerry came here to work when he didn't want to be disturbed. He called and asked me to bring him some papers. Look, Jerry was married. We were colleagues, friends. I insist on having an outside observer present.
For what?
I'm not going to let the police destroy evidence and cover up...
Maintaining the integrity of this crime scene is my top priority, Ms. Williams. And not fueling the fire by entertaining your conspiracy theories.
Well, we'll see how the press feels about that.
I intend to investigate everyone associated with Jerry Collier. That includes police officers, and that includes you, Ms. Williams.
You guys are not gonna believe who just bit the big one. Jerry Collier.
What?
I hate to say it, but yes.
That's disgusting.
What? Everybody's got to go sometime, and since Collier's on my list, well,
What list?
my Deadpool list.
Oh, please.
Yeah, I got all the regulars. Joe DiMaggio, King Hussein, St. Wences.
Wait a minute, let me get this straight. You have a game where you bet on when people are gonna die.
You know, whoever's got the most dead celebs by New Year's Eve wins. And that's gonna be me.
And what do you win? A mug from the coroner's office?
Cash. Cold, hard internet cash.
So I guess you've heard the news.
We sure did.
This isn't funny, Granger. We could be looking at a replay of the '92 riots here.
Which is why the chief is calling for a curfew effective immediately. The beach will be closed at 8.
All bikes will be down at night. Until we figure out how this thing plays out, we could be targets as well.
Let's roll.
Strickland, Cruz, you're with me. Court records of Collier's lawsuits, most of them against cops. You can start by checking their alibis.
You're really in charge of this thing.
I also need you to pull videotape from yesterday's press conference, and I need more than the 10-second soundbite that's been playing on the news. I need everything the local news stations have.
Looking for...
Well, whoever killed Collier either followed him or knew where he was going.
Either way, he might be in the crowd.
So, how does it feel, Sarge?
Feel?
Well, I mean, it's not every day that a bike cop gets to pull the strings in a high-profile murder investigation.
It feels great. Just great. Okay, so I lied. Feels like there's a big knot in my stomach.
And you're not even out of the starting block yet.
Oh, I know. You know, I went to pick up some files at headquarters this afternoon, and you should have seen the way people were looking at me, Will. It was like I had the Ebola virus or something.
Well, they're afraid of what you might find. How many years it could set back the force if it turns out it's really a cop who killed Collier.
Well, maybe if I had the support from the DA's office.
The election's coming up. My hands are tied. But maybe there is something I can do to help untie that knot in your stomach.
Well, not now.
I'm talking about coffee.
Sure you are.
All right, I'll prove it. Watch this.
Well, if it isn't our hot new homicide detective. Corey McNamara, right? I'm Mike Fields. This is my partner, Steve Turk.
Don't you recognize us from your suspect list? We're the racist cop bastards who murdered poor little Angel Jackson in cold blood.
Just because you were cleared in the criminal trial doesn't mean you're not guilty.
You know, you sound like the late Jerry Collier.
Do I?
Angel Jackson jumped off the pier to get away. He hit his head and drowned.
Yeah, I read the coroner's report.
Which no one seems eager to believe. You know why? Because Jerry Collier sold the public a fairy tale and intimidated our entire department.
The same department that assigned the Wheelie Patrol to Collier's murder. So he can serve up a cop as his killer to appease the masses?
That is not going to happen.
No, of course not. And Jerry Collier didn't deserve to get killed.
Can I quote you on that? Now, unless you two want to stick your feet even further into your mouths, I suggest you go find someone else to intimidate.
Just one more thing, McNamara. When you find the person that murdered Collier, let me know. I'd like to shake his hand.
And in closing, I want to emphasize that the team handling this matter, like the department itself, is made up of officers of all races. And furthermore, I will personally be bringing you updates as this investigation continues. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Chief.
Sergeant?
What the hell's going on here? Why wasn't I notified about a press conference?
Trying to keep the city from exploding here. Do you mind?
Yes, I do. You put me in charge of this case, remember?
I can always take you off of it.
That's true, sir, but until you do, I will be deciding on what we tell the press, and without putting my black and Hispanic officers on display for the sake of appearance.
You've got guts, Sergeant. Keep up the good work.
Okay. I'm impressed.
Collier's case files, the video footage, what do you got?
Well, nothing yet, but...
Stay on it. Strickland, you're with me.
Effective immediately. Beach will be closed at sundown. Anyone on the beach after dark, we take it into custody. The beach will be closed at sundown.
Oh, is that white says who, man?
Okay, let's break this up.
Oh, so what now? Y'all trying to take away our right to assemble? Is that what it is, officer?
You can assemble wherever you want as long as you don't block the boardwalk.
And you stay off the streets after dark.
So what, you threatening me, white boy?
Look, if I have to arrest you, sir, I will.
Man, so what? Ain't nothing but another example of cops oppressing the people anyway. Lock me up.
All right, let us through. That's it!
Back off.
But you gonna run me over with your little bike?
This is the last time. Break it up. I'm warning you, back off!
We got a problem here, folks? Move. Something about the phrase curfew don't seem clear to you? I'm not even gonna count to 3. Just move your asses, people. Move it. I'll catch you later.
I'm looking forward to it, partner.
Yeah, whatever.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the help.
Hey, there's nothing we wouldn't do for a fellow officer. Right, Steve?
That's right, Mike. We're all on the same team here. Whether on bikes or on foot or in a squad car. That's what they taught me at the academy.
You guys must have missed that class.
Looks like it's gonna be a long night.
Ooh, not too shabby.
Yeah, looks like Collier did pretty well for himself.
And his widow.
guy like that must have a pretty plush life insurance policy.
Wouldn't it be pretty ironic if a political fire starter like Jerry Collier was just a victim of the world's oldest motive?
Speaking of motives, I was kind of wondering what yours was.
Mine?
Picking me and Bobby to help you with this case.
There's no denying this is a political case, Jamie, but fortunately I didn't have to make a political decision.
Meaning?
Meaning that my 2 officers of color just happen to be the 2 best suited to withstand this kind of pressure.
I have no idea who this supposed witness was, nor who my husband was meeting at the apartment. We never discussed his business matters.
Well, what about personal matters? For instance, the state of your marriage?
Sergeant, I realize in the course of a typical murder investigation that the spouse is always a suspect. But as you must surely realize, Jerry Collier was far from typical.
Your husband may have been a high-profile, controversial lawyer, but he was still just a man.
And whoever he was supposed to meet yesterday doesn't appear to have been business.
As I said before, I have no idea who Jerry was meeting. And as for our marriage, it wasn't perfect, but it was the most important thing in both our lives. If anything, the stress came from not having enough time together. Is there any reason you're so eager to dismiss the obvious reasons my husband was killed?
Is there any reason why you still haven't told us where you were yesterday?
I was here, waiting for Jerry to come home for dinner. Now, if there is nothing else...
Actually, ma'am, there is. It concerns the fallout from your husband's death.
His murder.
Yes, ma'am. We're anticipating a little trouble, and...
What we're trying to say is, we were wondering if you could do us a little favor.
Officer Turk? I'm Bobby Cruz. I'm working the Collier case.
Talk to my lawyer.
Hey, look, I'm not trying to start anything here, but we both know I gotta do the routine. So why don't you just tell me where you were between 6 and 9 last night?
He was with me. We went out for a few drinks. We didn't get home till after 11.
Oh, yeah? Where'd you go?
We drove up to Zuma.
Do you mind? I was asking your partner.
I do mind, and you should too.
Hey, I don't like this any more than you do. But if you don't want to cooperate, we can do this downtown.
Your lady sergeant sent you here to bust our chops, right? That's a nice way to pay us back for saving your buddy's spandex butts.
What you did last night was your job, just like I'm trying to do mine. And if you keep resisting me like this, it's only gonna make you look worse.
Just because Collier was suing us doesn't mean we wasted him.
Yeah, but it does give you motive.
Along with 50 other cops.
But don't let that stop you. Go ahead, arrest us right now. Or better yet, why don't you take us down to South Central and hand out baseball bats? I mean, hell, as long as Collier's people get a white cop for his murder, does it really matter who did it?
You know, if you're so comfortable investigating your own, maybe you should consider a transfer to IA.
Get out of here.
Jerry Collier was a man with a vision. That's why he was killed. But while the man is no longer with us, his vision lives on stronger than ever.
All right, people, we gotta break this up.
Will we let that vision die?
No, we gonna let the vision die.
Will we let the police intimidate us into silence while they continue to subject our brothers and sisters to violence instead of protecting us from it? We have to stick together and show the powers that be that we shall not cannot be wronged. Soon I will continue the fight that Jerry started when I produce the surprise witness whose testimony will force this city and its police force to acknowledge the depths of the hypocrisy and corruption that have cost too many good citizens.
Pardon me.
That which they cannot reclaim, their dignity and their lives.
Ladies and gentlemen, people, may I have your attention, please? I can understand why you're all here, but there's a curfew in effect.
Man, screw that curfew.
Look, we don't want any trouble.
You mean you don't want anyone watching you investigate Jerry's death? I can already tell you what they have. Nothing, which is exactly what they want.
I mean, she's right, man. Why was they using some bike cops and 2 rookies to hit up the investigation? You know what I'm saying?
Look, I promise we'll find Mr. Collier's killer, but in the meantime...
Jerry, 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 Jerry.
In the meantime, Mrs. Collier has something to say.
My husband believed in many things, but that which he put the most faith in is that into which he put most of his time, and that is our system of justice. Flawed though it may be, Jerry committed his life to working within it, so I too am willing to let it work. I am giving the police 24 hours to produce results.
That only give them more time to cover up.
How can they hide anything? The eyes of the world are upon them.
Thank you.
Jerry wouldn't have approved. Don't expect me to help you again.
Yes, ma'am.
24 hours, Sergeant. No more.
Well, you don't look like you've been getting a lot of sleep.
What sleep?
And by the way, I had my people check out Deborah Williams.
And?
And if she were any cleaner, they could name a soap after her.
Oh. Well, what about this guy, Roger Franklin, the guy that's always stirring up the crowd?
Oh, he's just a die-hard Collier groupie. Collier got him off some small-time drug thing when Collier was still a PD.
Yeah, which makes him about the last person that's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Oh, God, can you see how desperate I am? Pretty soon you're gonna be on my suspect list.
Which means you'd have to interrogate me, right?
Right.
Just you and me in a room?
Going at it for hours until I break you.
Well, maybe if you come over tonight, we could practice.
This is totally not fair.
You're Deadpool,
Some actress named Sylvia Sidney just kicked the bucket.
Madam Butterfly in American Tragedy, Grandma in Mars Attacks, and who can forget her performance as Juno in Beetlejuice?
Wait a minute, Harper. What are you up to?
First place in the Deadpool?
Wait a minute, you said it was totally depraved. Monica, can you do this to me?
Easily, my friend, very easily. I've been entering for years.
I can't believe this.
By the way, I also had Hunts Hall, Anthony Newley, and Gene Sarrazin. All deceased this year, unfortunately for you. Quit now, and maybe you can maintain some form of dignity.
I had Victor Mature, you know.
Yeah, you and the rest of the world.
Most of the tapes are the same. The press conference, Collier's crocodile tears routine. That's the bad news.
Well, what's the good news?
Check this B-roll out of the limo. Collier's arguing with some guy.
Hey, that's Ted Hodges.
Who?
One of Collier's former clients. His case made a lot of headlines for Collier a few months ago.
Not a satisfied customer by the looks of it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm finding so odd. From what I remember, Collier won that case. Yeah, here we go. He's currently on parole and living at the beautiful Hotel Paradiso.
Jamie, pull everything you got on this guy. Cruz, Granger, you know what to do.
Stop the car! Stop! Whoa! 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 Stop
You should have thought of that before you killed him.
You can't keep me here. This is harassment.
Then why did you run?
Why'd you think? Because I'm black, and I'm an ex-con.
As well as someone with an axe to grind with Jerry Collier.
I don't know what you're talking about, lady.
Nice try, Ted. But we've got you on tape getting in Collier's face right after his press conference. And something tells me it wasn't to thank him for winning that big police harassment case for you.
Oh, some win. Look, I'm the one who got my ribs broken by the cops, for which I received a lousy 20 grand. That's after Jerry took his 70%.
Well, I guess watchdogs of truth and guardians of civil rights don't come cheap these days.
So you told him you wanted a bigger cut, or you'd make sure that he wouldn't live long enough to enjoy it.
No, that's not true.
Then what?
Look, I was angry. That's all.
Mad enough to kill him?
Yes. No.
Well, which is it?
Excuse me, Sergeant?
This better be good.
Well, they found the murder weapon, and you won't believe at whose house.
A few well-aimed shots at you in the media, and this is how you retaliate?
You obviously don't realize how serious this is. For starters, we have your fingerprints all over Mr. Collier's love nest.
That's not what it was. And I already told you I'd been there many times working with Jerry.
Just working?
On motions, briefs, up to 18 hours a day.
Well, that would explain your fingerprints on the desk, table, lamps.
But how do you count for the ones on the hairdryer, the bedboard?
You were working on briefs, all right. But not the legal kind.
Okay. So Jerry and I were having an affair. That's not a crime.
That's not why you're here, Ms. Williams.
I loved the man. I respected him. Why would I want to kill him?
Maybe the feelings weren't mutual. Maybe he invited you over there to give you your walking papers.
You're looking for a woman scorned? Try talking to his wife. She was the one he was gonna leave.
But you admit to going to the apartment right after the press conference, right?
He was already dead when I arrived.
Why didn't you call the police?
And let you set me up to take the fall.
So you just took off. But only after you removed all the evidence of you ever being there. Makeup, lingerie, other personal items.
I was trying to protect myself.
By tampering with a murder scene. You'd think a lawyer would know better.
I didn't touch anything near his body, I swear.
And how do you explain this? This was found at your townhouse about an hour ago.
And don't worry, the search was legal.
I don't even own a gun.
It's a .38. And what do you want to bet that ballistics matches it to the one that did the killing?
Deborah Williams, you're under arrest for the murder of Jerry Collier.
What a day.
Yeah, I can't wait till it's over. Hey, Chuck. Yeah, it's Mom. I was thinking maybe we could do it someplace more private, like my place, around 8. Okay, great.
Somebody's got a hot date.
Hardly. I'm working background checks on my dead pool candidates.
Look, when they die, okay? There's nothing you can do to help them along.
Yeah, but Chuck works at medical records for Cedars-Sinai. I am working on next year's list.
Hey, wait a minute, that's cheating. I'm turning you in.
To who? The dead pool police? See ya.
That little tramp said what?
Are you still denying that you know about it?
My husband was a good man, Sergeant McNamara. But as you yourself reminded me, he's still a man. He wasn't perfect.
Well, I don't know if I'd be so forgiving if you were my husband.
Sometimes love makes you do things you never thought you would.
Like murder?
Like forgive. If you must know, Deborah wasn't the first. In fact, Jerry told me the day before he was killed that he'd grown tired of her, that he intended to break it off.
She's lying through her teeth.
And I should believe you. Why?
Because Jerry gave me this the day before he was murdered. Does that look like a man who's about to leave his girlfriend for his wife?
And you really think the love triangle had nothing to do with his murder?
Only in the sense that it brought him to the apartment.
Well, why the long face? You've still got a suspect in custody.
Yeah, one I actually think is innocent.
But the gun.
You know, Deborah may be a complicated woman, but she's not stupid. I mean, there's no way she would have kept it.
So it was a plant.
And if it turns out it was somebody on the force, it could make the '92 riots look like a backdoor barbecue.
Yeah, well, don't look now, but I think someone just poured gasoline on that barbecue.
Yes. Deborah Williams is under arrest for the murder of Jerry Collier. Of course, Miss Williams is innocent until proven guilty. But what I'm happy to say is that thanks to the fine police work of Sergeant Corey McNamara and her team, this case has been brought to a speedy conclusion. Thank you. Questions?
Remind me to put the chief on my Deadpool list.
Why?
So I'm gonna strangle him.
I didn't order this.
No, but I did.
Yes. Deborah Williams is under arrest for the murder of Jerry Collier.
Didn't I tell you from the beginning? All you gotta do is hang tough.
Yeah, but...
No buts allowed. Look, with Collier and his little bitch out of the way, our troubles are over. Drink up. We're celebrating.
How come I'm still here? I should have been transferred last night.
We still have evidence against you, remember?
The gun was a plant.
Probably. You know, if there's anything I've learned from being a cop, it's to trust my instincts. And my instincts tell me that you're not the killer.
How do I help you prove that?
Well, you can start by telling me about the case against Fields and Turk. Who was the surprise witness Jerry was talking about at the press conference?
He never told me. Jerry knew it was a no-win case. He could have been bluffing. Wouldn't have been the first time.
Are you saying that there might not have been a witness at all?
Don't be so naive. Jerry was the ultimate spin meister. Hell, I've seen him win with less than this.
How could he have proceeded to trial without a witness?
Jerry did this all the time. He'd pump all this smoke into the circus tent, string out the civil trial, then when everyone was waiting for the appearance of the so-called surprise witness.
And the department ups a settlement and gets rid of the whole thing.
And as soon as they got a big enough number, say 5 million, Jerry'd settle. Pull the plug.
What is all this rhetoric about never settling? I mean, a victory for the people.
Jerry would wave that check in the air and proclaim that piece of paper was nothing less than the police department's admission of guilt.
Well, what if the cops were innocent?
They could just as easily have been guilty. The ends justify the means.
So if Jerry was bluffing, somebody called it and he's dead because of it. Only question now is there really a witness?
Wait, where are you going?
To play a little high-stakes poker. Don't worry, I'm getting you released. Hi, Steve. Remember me?
I'm busy.
I just want to ask you a few questions.
I already talked to Bobby Cruz.
But we didn't get very far now, did we?
Besides, I'm not here about the Collier murder.
You not?
No, I want to talk to you about the night Angel Jackson died.
I've been through this 1,000 times.
Humor me.
It went down like we said. We chased him to the end of the pier. When I drew on the kid, he knocked the gun out of my hand and went after me. Mike jumped in to defend me. Then either he panicked or he was trying to escape, because next thing I knew, he jumped. Coroner said he hit his head, and that's why he drowned. Anyway, that's what happened. Can I get up now?
You know, that's a really good story. But I have a better one. Like you said, you chased him down the pier. He knocked your gun away. He went after you. But then Mike jumped in. Then it was 2 against 1. Angel was strong, but not strong enough. You knocked him down. You started kicking him. I mean, what the hell? He was already battered from the carjacked victim. Then maybe it was frustration. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was all those feelings that we had that we can't act on. But you reached down, you picked him up, and you threw him over the railing.
No, they're doing it!
Maybe you didn't mean for him to drown. Maybe you just wanted to cool him off a bit. But the result was the same. He died because of your actions.
It's a great story, Sarge. Make a great TV movie. Unfortunately, it's total fiction.
I don't think so.
Then why don't you go and prove it?
I am happy to announce that the district attorney has dropped all charges against me. Perhaps now the police department will focus its investigation where it really belongs, on itself. Meanwhile, I intend to continue Jerry Collier's work, starting with the Angel Jackson case. As you know, just today, the Santa Monica Police Department made a generous settlement offer to make it go away. However, Jerry's secret witness is still willing to testify that Officers Fields and Turk did in fact throw Angel to his death. For this reason, I am rejecting the department's offer and will be pushing forward with the wrongful death suit to correct the terrible injustice that was done by the criminal trial. I cannot disclose the identity of the witness for obvious reasons, only that I'm meeting with him later this afternoon and will have another statement for you shortly thereafter. Thank you.
Hello, that is my paper.
Oh, give me a break. It's a waste of time anyway. Nobody important died. Except, Madonna.
Madonna died?
Gotcha.
Where's McNamara?
Your prize investigator is upstairs.
How could you let her go free?
If you're talking about Deborah Williams, sir, we didn't have enough to hold her.
Are you kidding me? What about her fingerprints all over the murder scene, not to mention the gun?
That was a plant, and you know it.
All right, that's it. You're off the case, Sergeant. Effective immediately.
God for Kevlar.
Please, give it up! Please, freeze! bet you weren't quite the innocent bystander in Angel's death, were you? Get up.
Steve? How'd you know it was me and not Mike?
I didn't. I just knew it had to be one of you.
I wanted to thank you for everything.
You're welcome.
You're a good cop in every way.
Most cops are good. You might want to keep that in mind for your future cases.
I'll try.
Sarge, over here.
I want to emphasize that this sends a clear message. Rogue cops will not be tolerated in this department. And once again, I want to personally thank Sergeant McNamara for her hard work and commitment. Of course, I knew when I chose her, she was the right person for the job.
Yeah, all right, and I'm a virgin.
Boy, the chief sure loves getting his face on TV.
Well, better him than me.
I'm sure he appreciates all the airtime you got him.
We got him. I've had my 15 minutes of fame, and it was 14 minutes and 60 seconds too long.
Hey, Sarge, speaking of time, how's your heart? Kidding, it was a joke.